Lighting's new office, we wanted to give you a quick roundup of our 2018 year and also some thoughts looking forward to 2019. The industry has changed a lot, even in the last 12 months. Lots of things have happened, and Phil's going to take you through a couple of things that have happened and also things that we're looking ahead to into 2019.
Brilliant, thanks Tom. Massive changes in 2018, we've dealt with all of them. It's been a thrill to do it. In Nottingham, of course, we've got 3 licensing schemes in operation here now, so mandatory, selective and additional, and a lot of those have changed in lots of different ways and impacted you as our clients. We're really pleased to confirm in this video that earlier on this year we represented you at the various forums to put forward the case for additional licensing and extensions, and that has been listened to, and some of you will have been communicated with over the last week, if not before Christmas, to confirm that if your licence was dated for the end of this month, then it will be extended to be the full 5 years, as it should have been, because some of you have licences that only lasted 2 or 3. So that's really great news, and we're pleased to be able to report that to you.
And that's right. I'm thinking there were some people who paid full price, got a 2-year licence when they should have got 5, and effectively the council have now said, as a result of the representations, that they're now going to extend those to the full 5 years.
Absolutely. So you get full value for money from those.
Brilliant.
Took a long time negotiating with the council, but we're really pleased that that's gone through. There's obviously continuing changes to the tax laws that are happening, and we're super conscious of the fact that we need to make sure that we're getting as best a return for you as possible to kind of reduce the impact of that tax bill on you with the changes to mortgage interest relief. Another big change this year was the changes to the minimum standards of EPC, meaning that every single property that is now let out or a new tenancy is created with existing tenants means that there needs to be a minimum standard of level E on the property. Now in 2020 that changes to, even if you've got an old tenant who's been there a long time, then the property must be of a standard E. That doesn't really affect many of our properties at all, but it's an important kind of characterisation of what's happening in the market. Earlier on this year as well, in April, the banning orders were introduced. These are kind of serious tools, I guess, for local council to deal with rogue landlords. And it's worth kind of knowing that it's happening, and you would have seen it in the news quite a lot, that the really government is under a lot of pressure from organisations like Shelter, etc., to really be winning the young person's vote. And part of that is a very anti-landlord rhetoric. So we're really conscious of that and making sure that everything that we do is done really, really well and without cause for concern. And lastly, one of good pieces of news is, which doesn't often happen in our industry of late, is that the gas safety regulations have changed to mean that it's more like an MOT test. So we can actually test the gas safety appliances 2 months in advance of when they're due to expire, meaning that we get your full 12 months, every single 12 months. And so that's one of the good bits of news that happened this year.
Yeah, smashing. And also here at Comfort Lettings, not only will we be part of an industry with lots of change, in our business itself, we've had various changes. A couple of bits we just wanted to highlight, things that you may be aware of, but some things you may not have been. We had an ARLA audit. Some of you may know or have heard of ARLA before, and that's the Association of Residential Letting Agents, actually called ARLA Property Mark. They're the guys that effectively audit us and make sure that what we're doing is right. They're interested in our accountancy reports, how we use and treat client money, how we look after property and various bits and pieces like that. And luckily to say, as we hopefully were expecting, we passed that, and we had really good feedback from the auditor, especially about how the staff were and how things, the sort of systems in place to look after things. So we're really pleased with that. I just wanted to share that with you.
It's important to note as well that not every letting agent has to have this.
Yeah, absolutely. So lots of agents aren't accredited with ARLA and are unregulated. They don't have audited systems. They don't have insurance that looks after client money and things like that. So yeah, something that we're really proud of having and having a really good piece of feedback from the auditors about. So a really good bit of news from earlier this year. One of the other big changes, which you may have noticed for those of you who have visited our office before here in Nottingham, we're of course not standing in our office on the Rope Walk anymore. So in September we moved office and we're now at our new address, which is 47 Derby Road, and that's on the main road out of Nottingham For those of you who know it well, it's up on the left-hand side, and obviously if you are in the city and passing, please do pop in, say hi, come and see your portfolio manager, come and see Phil or I, and grab coffee. We'd obviously love to catch up with you. And then finally, the sort of final piece of news or kind of update from here, from within our office, we've added new members of staff to our numbers. So as we've grown, as we've also had to take on new pieces of work, such as things like licensing responsibilities as well, we've had new people join us, and we're really thrilled with how the kind of team is gelling and bonding. So you may even meet and see some new faces as and when you pop in and see us, or kind of next time you check on the website and things like that. So yeah, do, as I say, pop in and say hi. We'd obviously love to catch up with you hopefully quite soon. Looking forward to 2019, we have a year where we're already aware of continuing changes and pressures within our industry, but hopefully being aware of these things and having an understanding for what these things are gives us an opportunity to prepare for them, to plan for them, and to mitigate risk and ultimately any exposure to these things as well. So Phil's going to take us through a couple of bits which we're already aware of, and probably some things which you may have heard about as well.
Yeah, I should imagine a lot of you will have heard of the Tenant Fee Ban, as it's been called in the media. It is actually called that as a bill going through the House of Lords at the moment. Mm-hmm. We've been in touch with them at the House of Lords and been emailing on specific points in that legislation, and I'm pleased to report able to influence, I guess, some of the drafting of that. And that's all to protect your interests going forward, because this fee ban was more than just about a fee ban on agency fees. It was actually about a fee ban on landlord charges that are contained within your tenancy agreements. So when tenants default on their rent, or if they damage your property, what can actually be sensibly charged by you as a landlord to your tenant. And we've been making representations to them. And certainly the pressure was on the government to deliver very tenant-friendly legislation. So we've been putting the landlord's view across to that. And I'm pleased to report that that's had some positive impact. Now, one of the things that is going to happen is there will be, in the current drafting anyway, there's a 5-week maximum deposit allowance. So you can only charge 5 weeks of deposit. Now, for some tenancies, that will impact us because we charge more if you have a pet, or if you have someone whose financial credibility isn't that strong, you might take a bigger deposit. Mm-hmm. Those options won't be available in the future. Ultimately, I think that will have impacts elsewhere, and specifically in terms of rent. And the second thing to be aware of is that late rent charges, currently as per the drafting, will not be able to be charged in the first 14 days. Now, these were the big kind of stick that we were able to use to make sure rents are coming in on time and that we can chase them. Seemingly, the government don't think it's fair that if someone is late with their rent, that they should be charged for that and should be charged for the administration of being chased. That will impact how we chase, and we therefore are going to adapt our kind of policies and procedures to best suit. And a lot of this relies on us building a relationship with tenants and ultimately being able to have a relationship, and if there are difficulties with rents, then we can talk about it. And then finally, there's a small change happening due for next year in terms of EPC Caps. I don't think it'll affect many of our clients at all, but the EPC kind of rules keep changing. So that's the Energy Performance Certificate. Ultimately,
and this one is to do with minimum standards, isn't it? Minimum efficiency standards within the property. I suppose our view is that these are probably good things. Generally speaking, when people are in a property which is kind of well insulated, well heated, not drafty, those sorts of things, ultimately they're kind of happier tenants. They're probably they're probably more inclined to pay the rent on time. They're probably more inclined to stay there longer, which generally speaking are all good things for the landlords. And I suppose in all of this, we haven't mentioned the B word, which is obviously the uncertainty of Brexit. We obviously can only kind of plan for the things that we are certain of and we can see in front of us. What we do know is that it inevitably will create some opportunity within the market, and for those people looking to acquire and expand, we think there's probably some good opportunities and prospects out there as well. So 2019 is probably going to be another interesting year, another one of ups and downs, but one which we are sort of fully prepared for, one that we're sort of we're engaged with the challenges ahead, and obviously if there are things that you want to discuss about your property or your portfolio, don't hesitate to get in touch with either myself or Phil. So thanks ever so much for watching. We hope you have a fantastic new year and look forward to seeing you in 2019.
All the best.